Explicit or declarative memories are facts and experiences we consciously know and declare. Like an example, going on the first date. We encode many explicit memories through conscious, effortful processing, which encoding requires attention and conscious effort. On the other hand, other information skips past the conscious encoding track and goes straight into storage. This is called automatic processing, which happens with us not being aware of it. Automatic processing makes implicit or non-declarative memories. Example, riding a bike. Our two-track mind helps us encode, retain, and retrieve information through both forms of processing. Implicit memories would include procedural memory for autonomic skills, like riding a bike, and classically conditioned associations among stimuli. An example would be if you were attacked by a dog. Years later, without recalling the conditioned association, you would automatically tense up as the dog approaches you. Your brain automatically processes information about space, time, and frequency. An example of space would be, if you're studying, your brain will encode the place on your page or notebook where the certain material appears. Later, your brain may visualize the location if you want to retrieve that information. Time. When you go throughout your day, you unintentionally note the order of events that happen throughout your day. An example would be, if you were to leave your bag somewhere, your brain has automatically encoded the order of events, the places you've been, letting you retrace your steps. Frequency. Your brain effortlessly keeps track of how many things that happen. Example would be, that's the third time I've ran into that certain person. Autonomic processing happens effortlessly. Skills may take effort at first, but with enough practice and experiencing your skills, you can become much more automatic, like driving, texting, speaking, and learning a language. We may develop skills in this way. Our sensory memory records momentary images, like sounds and strong scents. Our sensory memory feeds our active memory. Our sensory is like a flash of lightning, extremely quick and short. Iconic memory is a momentary sensory memory of visual stimuli. For a few tenths of a second, our eyes can register a picture image of the scene, and we can even recall the part in amazing detail. We also have a version of auditory stimuli called echoic memory. Say if someone was talking to you, but your attention was focused on something, you would still be able to recall what they said within the next 3 or 4 seconds. Short-term memory and working memory, its processing manager, refers to what we can briefly retain. So what are the limits of what we can hold in our short-term stage? George Miller, 1956, proposed that short-term memory can store around 7 bits of information. Research confirmed this. If nothing distracts us, we can recall 7 bits of information, but this amount can differ depending on the task. We tend to remember 6 letters and only use 5 words. Our short-term memories have limited lives in order to be part of our working memory. The capacity of our memory, the ability to juggle multiple items while processing information, depends on our age and other factors. Young adults tend to have greater working memory capacity than older adults and children. This helps younger adults better retain information and to solve problems more creatively. If you are switching between tasks, you will reduce your working memory. Everyone does better and more efficient work when they are focused and not distracted on one task at a time. Effortful processing strategies can boost our ability to form new memories later when we try to retrieve that memory. These strategies can help make a difference between succeeding or failing. Here are some strategies. Chunking, which is organizing items into familiar, manageable units. This often occurs automatically, and we usually take it for granted. Example, figure 2.4-3 on page 218. Mnemonics are memory aids that use vivid imagery and organizational devices, like Roy G. Biv to help you memorize the color of the rainbow. Tying your shoes, using the bunny ear or bunny around the tree method. The key point is that these methods can be used and combined together to make great memory aids. An example would be the acronym HOME, Huron, Ontario, Michigan, and Erie for the Great Lakes. Hierarchies. Broad categories divided and subdivided into more narrow concepts and facts. Hierarchies organize knowledge and help us retrieve information efficiently. When our encoding of information is distributed over time, we retain information better. This is called the spacing effect. Distributed practice or studying or studying produces better long-term recall compared to the massed practice, cramming, because you would learn quick and forget quick. An effective method to distribute practice is repeated self-testing. This method is effective because of the testing effect. The testing effect improves your memory and retrieval rather than rereading information, which just assesses your memory and your learning. The testing effect has other names: retrieval practice effect, test enhanced learning. The point to remember is that spaced out studying and self-testing are better than just cramming and rereading. We process verbal information at different levels, and those levels or depth of processing affects our long-term retention. Shallow processing encodes on an elementary level, such as the letters in a word, structural encoding, or at a more intermediate level, like the sound of the word, mnemonic encoding. Deep processing encodes semantically, based on the meaning of the words. The deeper or more meaningful the processing is, the better our retention will be. An example would be, the girl put the blank on the table. Explosion, puzzle, or sound. If new information is neither meaningful nor related to our experience, we have trouble processing it. For an example, if I told you that you would arrange various items into a group, then complete a procedure, and once completed, you would arrange the items again so they can be placed in their appropriate places. Over time, you would repeat this cycle. If I told you this and asked you what I said a day later, you wouldn't remember it because it has with no meaningful context and you won't remember it. But if I told you if this was about washing clothes, something meaningful and what everyone does, you would remember more of it better. We can encode and recall the meaning of things or things we have heard rather than the literal text or words. Example, if you're studying for a test, you may remember the notes you took rather than the class itself. We can avoid significant mismatches by rephrasing what we see and hear into meaningful terms. The self-reference effect is the tendency that we remember personally relevant information much better than, say, a friend or a stranger. The point to remember is that we can benefit from taking time to find personal meaning in what you are studying. The human brain processes information on dual tracks, consciously and unconsciously. Many explicit or declarative memories are conscious memories of facts and experiences we form through effortful processing, which requires effort and attention. Implicit, non-declarative memories of learned and classically conditioned associations happen without our awareness through automatic processing. In addition to skills and classically conditioned associations, we automatically process incidental information about space, time, and frequency, and familiar or well-learned information such as sounds, smell, or word meanings. Sensory memory feeds some information into working memory for active processing there. An iconic memory is a very brief, few tenths of a second sensory memory of visual stimuli. An echoic memory is a 3 or 4 sensory memory of auditory stimuli. Short-term memory capacity is about 7 bits of information, plus or minus 2, but this information disappears from memory quickly without rehearsal. Our working memory capacity varies depending on the age and other factors, but everyone does better and more efficient work by avoiding task switching. Effective, effortful processing strategies include chunking, mnemonics, categories, and hierarchies. Each boost our ability to form new memories. Distributed practice sessions, the spacing effect, produces better long-term recall. The testing effect is finding out that consciously retrieving rather than simply rereading information enhances memory. Depth of processing also affects long-term retention. In shallow processing, we encode words based on their letters or sound. Retention is best used when we use deep processing, encoding words based on their meaning. We also easily remember material when we learn and rephrase it into personally meaningful terms, the self-reference effect.